Hey guys, J77 here. It is actually 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm actually doing this recording. I don't normally do this recordings this late in the morning time, but I felt the need to do it, especially after a couple of takes. I didn't feel quite right doing it, especially with such an important topic like this. I felt it needs to be treated with the utmost respect. Being that I'm wide awake and did previous recordings early on, I felt the need to address a very strong issue, an issue that was brought up by a fellow YouTuber by the name of Positive Rider 08. You should really check out her work. She's very good at it. She brings up real informative topics that I think that everyone can relate to. And I will say I will leave a link to her channel, specifically that one video. And I ask you guys to check it out. But I also ask you guys to be mindful. She does monitor her comments. She doesn't want lewd, and I've seen comments on her channel. She wants to hear feedback where you agree or disagree, but she wants to keep it in a respectful, mindful manner. And with that, I will say, in terms of my comments, you know how I feel about it already. For those who have followed me on this, I ask of you to do one thing. Please listen to what I got to say from beginning to end before posting. And with that being said, I will bring up the topic at hand. That is the topic that she had brought up with autism. But most importantly, family members or people who know of someone who suffers from a mental illness. And that is something that, in terms of me, is stronger to home because I had family members, both my mom and my brother, suffering from the illness, one worse than the other. And it had affected our lives in such a way that, even to this day, had a major effect on me and my views on the situation. Needless to say, that it all started when I was informed by Father Right that she had posted a video. And the reason how she informed me is because for some reason YouTube is doing things that is really not making me very happy. But needless to say, she did tell me she had rolled a couple of videos. I saw most of the videos she had posted up, but one really caught my attention was the one on autism, and she was very passionate on it. It was almost close to a rant because of how, to this day, how people with autism are being treated as pretty much as dirt. And she hit the nail right on it, especially when it comes to teachers who pretty much bully people with autism. These are the same teachers who are supposed to help these children who suffers from this type of situation, but instead make the matters worse. Also, Society Abroad, whose idea of helping people with autism is putting them in nursing homes, pretty much not seen without heard. And that was when I really looked back at my situation and looked back at the families that my family and realized what she was saying and how she was saying this is the wrong thing to do. You can't do this to people. But at the same time, she was also saying that these people are human beings just as well as you and I are, and deserve the respect, the same respect that we are expected ourselves. And I couldn't agree more. She was 100% right. And again, this was such a strong video that I feel to just talk about it, it's not going to do any justice. I really strongly recommend you go check out her work. She's very, very good, particularly what she's saying in this video. And for those who have family members who is going through what she has just told, share your experiences because to me, your experiences is educating me as well as other people who simply do not understand what autism is, or people who suffers from a mental illness is. And in my case, my mother has suffered from it, and my brother has suffered from it. To me, it was pretty much a roller coaster ride with me, especially as a kid growing up in that kind of lifestyle. Because one, you don't know why this is happening to your family members. Two, you don't know why your brother is like this and he can't play outside with other children. that he can't communicate with other children. And me being 6 years old, not educated, not knowing about the situation because it was never really talked about at all in the family. The family never acknowledged this. We just know something was wrong, and that was it. Mom was going to mental institutions for a while because she was just angry, but in reality, there was more to it that my grandmother was telling me. Um, no one really discussed why my brother was like where he was, and I was different from him. And during that course, me growing up in that kind of lifestyle, I had grown bitter and angry. Angry at my brother, angry at my mom, who I never called my mom, but I called my grandmother my mom. That's how serious it was. And this is something I never really talked about online, but I wanted to bring this out because this is very important to tell you just how much it can truly affect a family living in that situation. Because my mom never took care of me. She loved me. Don't get it wrong. She did love me, but she never really could care for me the same way as my grandma did. And she did hold. She was the main person holding down the fort until Alzheimer's kicked in, and she just couldn't do it anymore, which left even more burden on me growing up in a situation that I was growing up in. But in terms of my feelings towards my brother as well as my mom, I was very, very angry at the situation. It wasn't until a strange event happened, an event that I will never forget to this day, and it involves me getting switched. um, what has happened was that both me and my brother have taken take school buses to school, and normally the pattern was my bus always come first, his bus came second, and then when it came home it was vice versa. But that day his bus came first, and my bus came right after that. And instead of actually just looking up at the bus driver, I just went in the bus and sat down. One may ask why you didn't look at the people avoided you talk to people. Let me explain them to you guys here. As a kid, I was very isolated. I did not really talk to anyone on the bus, let alone school. I only had one best friend, and when he started taking the bus, that's when I started talking to him. But in terms of bus rides, I never really did much communication. I just sat in the bus and just waited to go to school. That was it. That was the routine. And what ended up happening was because I didn't talk to no one, I didn't realize that I was in the bus where I didn't recognize anyone. I just stood alone by myself, rode the bus, and it wasn't until I actually went to that school and realized this wasn't PS 261. This is a different school altogether. And I ended up spending the entire day with my brother's class. And to me, it was probably one of those best mistakes that I ever had because I got to meet wonderful people, wonderful teachers. They was able to teach me and make me understand the situation. And to me, I did not know as a kid that there were others what have suffered the same situation that my brother was going on. And you know what? They were nice people. They were fun to hang around with. It was fun to get to know. And to this day, I consider that the best experience of my life. It never happened again. I actually wanted to go back to that school because I really wanted to know more about it, but it never happened again. And but to me, I never forgotten that switch because it opened my eyes to something I myself did not know. I did not know there were others like my brother who have suffered the way he was going through, and it made me realize that these were wonderful people, just like you and me, who has feelings, who likes to have fun, and to really wants to voice their opinion as best way they can. And I thank the teachers to this day. I even thank the school for allowing me to stay. Because when I went to the office, they was like, "Wow, this actually was a mistake happened." They called my mom, and she explained because obviously my school called her up and explained what happened. When I went to back to my school, immediately the teachers came to me and talked to me about it and explained that what your brother is going, what your brother suffered is not uncommon because there are others who goes through the same situation It's nothing to be ashamed of. It's not no one's fault. It's not your mom's fault. It's not your fault. And they were happy to have him in class. It's good that the students talked to me about it for that day. And after, I believe, the third day, it was never mentioned again. My brother was never mentioned. And that's how it went. And I was actually very thankful for the school for making sure my brother was actually safe and sound. But it opened my eyes a lot. It really did. That experience opened my eyes, and I never again to that day looked at those who suffers from a mental illness like my brother has, or even autism for that matter, in any kind of negative light, because I understood from that day that they were people too, and they do have feelings, and they're just as much as human beings as I am. Unfortunately, as I grew up and as the years came down, there are others who don't see that way, and especially those who are supposed to help people who suffer from mental illness, like my mom. My mom suffers from mental illness. It goes back to when she was 4. Her mental illness was one of the main reasons why my father and mother did not. The relationship ended horribly. There was some stuff going on both sides, but needless to say, my father was in denial that my mom was going through some serious issues. One of the main things that people need to understand when it came to it is that she could not take care of herself, let alone me and my brother. That is something that it took me a while to accept. Because keep it in mind again, I never called my mom mom. I called grandma mom, and that was the reason because she was the one who was caring for me, not her. She could not do it, but again, she loved me. She loved my brother dearly. But she did not have the mental capacity to care for us as my grandmother did, and that's something that left a lot of us in uncertainty because my grandmother was getting up in that age, and once Alzheimer's said it was pretty much it got from bad to worse. But I honestly, I'll say when I look back at today, I was even more upset at the people who are supposed to help her live an independent life. And I'll say this from an experience that I had a few years ago when I went to talk to the people um, who uh, who was in charge of her care. I'm just going to give a different name. I'm going to call it Seaside. I went to the outpatient clinic, which happens to be on used to be one floor up to where my school is. Figure that out. And I went down. I went to um, them and I asked how my mother was doing, and they said with a straight face, everything is fine, everything is great, everything is wonderful. Yet at the same time, I'm looking at a few things, and while you examining the environment, it really says a lot more than just hearing what the person's saying. When I entered that room, I saw a pool table, chairs line up in pretty much almost in a semicircle, a TV set, and I see a lot of people standing around playing pool or sitting down. That is it. I didn't see anything else going on after that. And I finally found it interesting that I actually went in that office, went in this place where it's supposed to help my mom live independently, and yet I seen all this stuff here. And one may say it by a rec room, but believe me, I have not seen anything other than just that when I went in there. When I talked to the person there, um, when he said all those things that she's doing, wonder if she's making great progress, not one thing that came out of her mouth was believable, except for one thing. And that is that they have to make sure to be mindful of how she spends her money because the moment she gets her money, which is every month, she will spend it after the third day. That is something that I'm not making up. That is something that is actually true because I knew my mom and I knew her habits since I was 5 years old. So that was the one true thing they actually said right. But everything else I knew was pretty much they lied to me. I knew they were lying to me. And it was backed up when I found out who her guardian was because I lost contact with her. That was one of the reasons why I went down there. And I found out who her guardian was. And the moment she described what was going on in terms of while being on the health care, I knew that was what she was saying is true because everything that happened with her having a fit when she didn't get away, from threatening people with knives, from doing all sorts of crazy stuff that led her to be institutionalized for a while. Pretty much fit the bill more than what the agency have said. And it was pretty clear that she was no better off then what she was. She was not better off now than what she was then. Um, I asked her a few things of how she acts like, what she does, and she told me she likes to smoke cigarettes a lot. She told me we had to stop her from picking off cigarettes on the floor. She gets very nervous, and she gets into these rage sometimes. But at the same time, she just basically relaxes and be in the laundromat, and that's pretty much how that is. But that definitely describes pretty much best. And that was pretty much when I realized that the agency wasn't doing a damn thing. And it was pretty much backed up. And this is why when I heard Positive Writer oh 08 said about the nursing home thing, um, they was saying that if she didn't straighten up and act right, they was going to put her in nursing home. They said that to keep her, to keep her behaved. That was their main tool. And yet I'm listening to that. I said, "Oh, I see." And I'm saying this for a reason. I'm saying so they don't take the time to actually help her live an independent life, but their tool is just threaten her with being put in a nursing home, and that will pretty much solve this. That's what pretty much problem solved. And once I heard that, I said, "This is stupid. I mean, this is ridiculous. You're not trying to help her. You just basically want to make sure she stays in line." And that grew anger towards me. That grew anger towards what they were supposed to do. They were supposed to help my mom. And all this time she's going down there, they're not lifting a finger. Not one finger at all. And I don't know if my grandmother ever knew about it. She died, I know, not too long ago after that. One of the reasons why I want to search out and see what's happened to her. My mom told me herself that she had passed away. Um, and that I believe that she was cremated after that. And it brought some closure because I did lose contact with her when I moved to Staten Island. But it was something that always held uh, close to me to this day. But it was when I did finally search out and find out what's going on and saw for my own eyes what's going on, it was clear that they used it as a babysitter's room. It was also very clear that these people didn't really give a damn about helping my mom, but just basically keeping her occupied for 6 hours and only 6 hours. And to me that was a complete waste of time and basically a waste of her life because the days that she was there, they could have actually helped her in terms of how to better manage her money, help her how to just better manage us because she had two children, and basically just learn to be more independent. And they didn't do that. And I'm seeing that a lot with a lot of agencies, even nursing homes that claim to be helpful, and it just angers me. It just bothers me to the core that there are actually places like this to get away with doing that, just in the name of collecting a check. Because they got paid, I know they get paid a lot of money just to keep her um, in that center, because she's still not a patient clean that center. And this is one of the reasons why I don't support people being put in nursing homes in many degrees, unless it's a really situation where they absolutely cannot help that person who lives there. But in other cases, when they make those threats like that, I often question that because moment again, Father, I said this, it rose alarm, and I asked the question. I meant to ask her in the comment I have a reason for this because when it comes to people who are suffering from autism or any kind of mental disability um, or have features that is different than others, and this is something I've seen firsthand, is one of the reasons why I told a person who was feeling uncomfortable when that person approached him and said, "Why are you flinching? Why are you not looking to look at her? She's asking you a question." Um, why are you being afraid to look at her? She ain't done anything wrong. What's wrong? And I put him aside. I asked you, what was the problem? Why did you do what you did? He said, you know that girl suffers from mental. I stopped right there. She's a human being. What was the problem? I said, I don't feel comfortable being around him. I'm not safe around him. The girl asked you a question. The mother was right there. Why are you acting like that? And he said, I just don't feel comfortable. And there's the key word here. A lot of people on who sees those with mental disabilities and have certain features that represent that, a birth defect or any kind, or people who suffer from autism, they don't know how to respond, they don't know how to react, and they simply don't feel comfortable with them being in presence. And so they make statements saying like, you should put them in a nursing home because they have a better job of doing it than you do. To me, that's like saying you should put them in a nursing home because I don't feel comfortable being around them. I don't want to see them, and I don't want them to be anywhere in my presence where I have to deal with them. And that's the whole thing. A lot of people who say these stuffs, it's really not for the benefit of the family or the person in question. It's just themselves entirely because they do not want to feel uncomfortable when it comes to dealing with that situation. When she talks about that the teacher and how that man, which kudos to him, recorded the situation because the school kept saying that he kept acting out and he's writing notes, and it took him to record the situation up here to find out what's going on. That's a perfect example of a teacher, in my opinion, who is trying her best to kick him out of class, to get him to react because she knows it's an easy way to do it. And knowing the schools, well, they don't bother to investigate. They don't bother to sit down with people who suffer from autism and ask them what's going on. And she's right. Some of them don't know how to express themselves, don't know the voice, and that's a huge disadvantage. And at the same time, the schools don't make it any easier because to them, they only see a person acting out. They don't ask the question of why that person acting out or do their own little investigation. They just say, oh, the person's acting out, he's got to go. And I'm seeing that too many times. The perfect example is some of the reports I've seen over the years where an autistic boy who wanted to go to church was thrown out of church because it made the people in the congregation uncomfortable. Really? The same thing goes with the airport. Autistic children getting kicked out of the airport um, because to them it's hard to control and people was complaining. You have politicians and even radio disc jockeys basically bashing autistic children. I call them as nothing but brats, and the parents need to keep them in check and shut the hell up. These are stories that's being thrown out there, and it's like, really, you guys really gonna act like this? And it's a shame that you hear stories like this. It's a shame that these stories are being brought out, and it also shows us how uneducated a lot of people are, and how insensitive they are to these people's feelings. These are wonderful people that they are disrespecting because of when they hear the word autism, they just fully don't understand. They immediately think behavioral problems. They don't think about anything else other than that. And it's like, really, guys, do your homework, man. I mean, seriously. And and that's why I always felt that it's important. That's why I felt that Positive Light, what she did, was a great thing because by her talking about it, by me talking about it, and by others who's bringing this attention, I think that we're getting to know more and more about autism as well as other mental illnesses that people are not aware of. Believe it or not, I was not aware of other forms of autisms until I started talking to other people, until I started seeing videos, other people, some who happens to be members of a very great website that I'm on, and you really get to learn, you really get to see that, hey, these are actually great people who are doing great things, and despite their obstacle, they're overcoming it and just basically being a productive member of society. And that's something I think a lot of people are missing when it comes to autism, even those who suffer from mental illness. And I'm not saying the other word because I think it's a word that is very disrespectful. I'm not going to say the other word. That's why I'm saying mental illness for that reason. Um, but I also feel that a lot of times that we tend to not look at that and just look at the negative and look at ourselves and say, I don't feel comfortable. I don't want to be around them. I don't want to see them. I don't want to acknowledge them. And most importantly, I don't want to look them eye to eye. There's a lot of shame when people see those who have birth defects or those who are suffering from this from mental illness. They don't want to look at eye to eye. They don't really want to deal with the issue. They don't want to tackle the issue. They rather just uh, throw it against somebody else, lock them up in some kind of institution so they don't have to see, deal, or even address the issue at hand. That's their idea of solving problems. Like I'm telling you right now, that's not the way to solve problems at all. It's, if anything, you're just making it worse. And trust me, at least with this country, there's still people out there speaking on their behalf. In other countries, that's not even that case at all. I don't even want to go through how they treat people with mental illness and autism. It's disgusting, and to me, those are the ones that have the less education about the issue. But that is something that I notice, and I think we all need to do it for the right reasons and not the wrong reasons, which I'm going to get to right now in this video. And the wrong reason is what Kathy Griffin have done, um, what a lot of people have done over the years. The stuff I've seen did affect me in two ways. One, the Special Olympics. To this day, um, in terms of media coverage, I want to put that very clearly. Media coverage, I will not watch the Olympics on TV. And the reason is it's not done properly on TV. I believe this was done in the late 80s. I believe 86 or 87. I know it was after the Winter and Summer Olympics when they were both together. Um, they were having a TV event called the Special Olympics. This is the first time I heard about the Olympics for those with special needs. And it was something I made my business to watch. I said, "Yeah, I want to see this. I want to see them compete. I'm all for it. I'm on board for it. I want to see these games more than anything. I want to see these games more than the Olympic games." And I sat there and watched the ceremony, and I'm watching this. And as a kid, even as a kid, I felt there was something wrong with the way they was handling the ceremony. Um, One thing that really came to mind was the god awful songs they had. Um, but besides that, is how they kept showing the guy singing, but in the background you see all these participants. They kept throwing the cameras at them, and I'm like, why are they doing it in such an uncomfortable angle? What are they trying to do? And I'm watching this by myself. My mom and my grandmother were upstairs getting ready to go to sleep. I'm watching this all by myself. I'm watching this television. I'm sitting there watching it, tearing out coupons. I was a big thing of coupons, pretending it was real money. That's how it was back then. But I was watching this thing, and I'm like, okay, when are we gonna get to the games? And you saw the guy running with a torch, and the thing cuts off, and it was never talked about again. The media never talked about it. The newspaper never covered it. There was no further coverage of this event. Do you know how angry I was when I saw that? I said, so let me get this straight. This is me as a kid. You guys are willing to show the opening ceremonies, but you guys don't feel that it's important to show the rest of the games? Are you serious? And that's when I realized something. They had no intention of showing the rest of the games. They have every intention of showing these stars, prancing around, making themselves look good because they felt they done something right, rather showing the important thing that should have been shown um, from their networks, and that's the games itself. Like I said, I was for them having their own Olympics. I wanted to see them compete. I wanted to see them more than the other guys. And the fact that they, to me, spat on the face of what the Olympics was, I refuse to watch it in a medium form. Now, if it's in New York and they're competing and I get the address, I will support it. I will go there myself and support it because that's pretty much the only way I can actually truly support the Special Olympics. But never in a media form because to me it's not about them. It's about these stars bouncing around, making themselves look good, making themselves say, "Look, I done something." And one of the perfect examples of this is actually from a Seinfeld episode. Um, I'm not a big fan of Seinfeld. I didn't think the show was bad. Don't get me wrong. I just never really got into it until the reruns came around. But there was one episode that caught my attention. This one episode really was deep, and that was when um, I believe one of the characters named Kramer. If I'm wrong, do forgive me. I know Seinfeld fans will correct me immediately. But he had a toothache. He had Novocaine and he was swollen. And he bumped into this guy. I forgot the star's name. But the star looked at him. He said he was kind of amazed of how independent this guy was. And at first I'm saying, why is he talking to him like he is stunned? What was so stunning about it? And then it dawned on me immediately. He thinks he's mentally handicapped. So I'm watching this. I'm seeing where are they going with this? What are they trying to do with this? And then it dawned on me as the storyline goes on. It was found out he was invited. He was gonna, and they was gonna honor him on his behalf. And then Seinfeld told his friend, said, "Hey, dude, he thinks you have mental issues, man." He said, "No, you don't." He said, "Dude, he does. That's why he's inviting you. This is pretty much an honor of you because he thinks that you are mentally handicapped. That's why he invited you." And I'm like, looking at it, I said, now if he did this, I'm kind of curious how they got to go forward. He was supposed to say that that's not the case, but he got into a fight with a guy who punched him, and his jaw got swollen. So that pretty much kept that rate on. And as he's sitting there, you see this guy at the very end of the Seinfeld episode singing to this guy. Again with that awful song. He's singing right to him. And I'm like, as funny as that may look, unfortunately, it represents some of these stars who does this kind of stuff. It represents how some of these guys are treating this kind of stuff. And it's like, yeah, this is based on some of the stupidity of some of these stars who does this. They only doing it not for them, but they're doing it for themselves. They're doing it for gratification, make them feel good. And nothing is more truth to this than what Howard Stern has said. And you may agree with Howard Stern on certain things. You may disagree with Howard Stern. You may be a fan. You may hate the guy. But there was one time I have to say that he was 100% right, and it involves an autistic kid in the Cavalry Griffin show. And I believe you can still find that audio clip on YouTube. If I can get it, I will leave the link to it on the bottom because I think it's important that you hear it from his mouth only. He was pretty much comparing that show to child abuse. And at first I didn't know what he was talking about until I saw the video, until I heard the audio clip from it, and I'm like, are you serious? And what basically what it is, just give you a short clip notes on it. An autistic kid was invited on the show. It was reported that a person saw him sitting alone by himself, and he came and befriended him. He became his friend, and that's actually not a bad thing. It's actually pretty good. And half they just talked about it and left it alone like that and say, you see, the people who are autistic are just as normal as anybody else, and you be friends with them. There's nothing to be afraid of. There's nothing to fear. She did something else that was totally different, totally embarrassing to the kid, and pretty much Howard Stern called on it. Okay, because it was something that I pretty much agree when it comes to certain stars when they do this kind of stuff. She sung a song. It's the worst song I've probably ever heard of, and it embarrassed the kid. He didn't ask for that. He didn't ask for you to sing to him. He didn't ask for all that stuff. And anything you make the matter, if he didn't have friends back then, he really didn't have friends after that song happens. And to me, it was like, you didn't do this for this kid. You did it for yourself. Most stars who do that, they don't do that because they want to help people with special needs. They're doing that for themselves, to get themselves kudos. To me, if you want to help somebody, just help somebody. But don't sit there and do what these guys are doing. Don't sit there and parade yourself and throw yourself out there as if you're doing something special. Because the stuff that they be doing, if you look at it yourself, look at what the Cavalry Griffin show have done. I guarantee you're gonna look at it and be disgusted about it. I heard the order. I couldn't believe it. I had to find the video, and it is on YouTube. And if you can't find it on YouTube, you will find the article because people have wrote about it. And I totally agree with what Mount Experience said because it has nothing to do with the kid at all. Nothing to do with the kid at all. And when the kid actually said, in his own words, he felt embarrassed and uncomfortable, he laughed like if what he had to say didn't have no meaning. He's telling you what he feels. And this is the problem I have with starters, people in general. They act like that people with special needs or people with autism don't have feelings. They can't get embarrassed. They can't fall in love. They can't, have a productive life. And they feel that what they're doing, like Kathleen's doing, or what some of these people with the Special Olympics do in the opening ceremony, is makes up for that, and it don't. It makes matters worse. And again, that's always killed me when it comes to that. It always does. Um, and look, you want to help out, volunteer. Do something that you don't need to put your name on it all the time. Donate. Trust me. Most importantly, talk to the people with autism or those who has mental disabilities. Those that will be more helpful than singing a worthless song that doesn't help anybody. Also, if you see something that is bully related, which is something that my brother had went through, and unfortunately that guy learned the hard way that it's not good to bully anybody, especially my brother who fought back, and he didn't say he never bullied nobody anymore. But that's beside the point. If you see something that is considered clearly as bullying and picking, say something about that. Don't stand for that. Come on. And that's something that I got a lot from Positive Line. I did this for 36 minutes, but she did 8 minutes, and to me, those 8 minutes really struck a chord a lot with me, more than what I think anybody or even her ever realized. And I actually thank her for that, because this is something that definitely needs to be talked to. Stuff like that she reported should not be tolerated. Stuff that I just talk about should not be tolerated. And most importantly, I think in most aspects, I think people don't truly understand the true impact of autism or those who suffer mental handicap until they experience it firsthand. I guarantee their perspective will change. But to me, you shouldn't have to have something like that happen to you. You should just, educate yourself and speak to those families who is going through the situation and hear their stories. In fact, I encourage anyone, any family member who is looking at this video right now. I know this video is small, but there's a reason why it's small. To look at this video right now, to please share your thoughts on this situation. And then most importantly, leave a link for me to watch, because I really would love to hear your story on this, because it isn't very important. Because the more you share, the more education everyone has when it comes to this. Don't be silent. And that's very important. Don't be silent at all. I'm going to leave it at that, guys. I'm going to leave it at that. But like I promised you guys, I will leave a link to Positive Writer 08. I encourage you to listen to what she had to say as well as this video. I will accept every feedback that you guys have. But most importantly, those who can relate to this video, please, by all means, comment. Please, I ask you to comment, because the more we talk about this, the more educated we can become, and the more awareness we can bring to the situation. I have shared a very, very tough memory in my childhood to you guys. That is something that is not easy for me, especially when I respect privacy when it comes to my own self. But I felt that if I'm going to be real with this video, I have to show you from my own personal experience why this is very deep, and why what Positive Writer 08 have said was very deep. And again, I don't regret it. I actually thank her for making it even easier for me to talk about this. It's not easy to talk about something like this. It really isn't. But it needs to be talked about. And I think it's time, after hearing all these reports and after hearing how people who suffers from mental disability is being treated and being handled by the people who are supposed to help those who suffer from this, it's time that we start opening our mouths and start talking about it, so that way changes can be done, and education as to these mental illnesses and autism can be done. But it only can be done if people start opening up, people start speaking about it, and people start sharing about it. So again, thank you very much, Positive Writer, for bringing this to my attention. I hope you realize just how much of an impact that one video had made. And I'm hoping if you're looking at this, please comment about it. Please share it along with your friends. And as always, guys, comments below. Let me know what you're feeling about this. This will be on both of my channels. Yeah, that's how important that it will be. And until then, guys, it's J77 saying take care, be safe, and yes, I will talk to you soon.